On Saturday, we talked about the Colts' potential road to the playoffs and how they can get there and how the back end of their schedule looks. And after Sunday, every week going forward, I want to talk about the playoff picture, specifically in the AFC, where coming into this Sunday, there were 14 teams within 3 games of each other. So, very interested to see how things are shaking out. And at the point that I'm recording this, the Colts went up in the standings, even on their bye week. The Bills, sitting at 6-5, are at the 8 seed. Colts are at the 9 seed. Bengals are sitting at the 10 seed. And the teams that are in those wild card spots, you have the Browns at number 5, 7-3. The Texans at 6-4. They play the Jaguars next week. So this is going to be an opportunity for the Colts if they can win and go to 6-5 and the Texans lose and go to 6-5. They own the tiebreaker right now over the Texans. So in that case, they would bump above the Texans. The Steelers sitting at 6-4 right now. And they play the Bengals next week. It's hard to see the Bengals winning that game at this point. But it's not like the Steelers are a juggernaut. So anything can happen in that one. And you have the Bills playing the Eagles next Sunday. And again, that one, anything can happen. I would honestly expect the Eagles to be able to win that game. So if the Colts can take care of business on Sunday against the Buccaneers, then they're going to put themselves in a really good position. This is a place where they control their own destiny, even with Gardner Minshew at quarterback. You look at everything that happened yesterday that went in our favor. Steelers losing to the Browns, finally losing a game that they were supposed to lose. Obviously, the Bengals losing on Thursday, also losing Joe Burrow. That might not be a team we have to worry about anymore. The Bills did win, which is why they're going to go above us. But the Raiders lost and went down to 5-6 instead of winning and going to 6-5. That was big for us, especially because we play the Raiders late in the season. So having a better record than them at that time will definitely benefit us. And of course, with the Bills winning, you have the Jets losing. So their record going to 4-6. The Chargers lost again. And at this point, it looks like they're not going to be a team that even might make the playoffs. Already sitting at 4-7. They look like they're in a tough spot right now as a team. And the Broncos at 4-5. At the time I'm recording this, they have not played the Vikings yet. But if the Broncos win that game against the Vikings, they'll be sitting at 5-5, and they'll bump themselves up a little bit here in these standings, and they'll be getting closer, right? They're a team that's on a roll, but they're going up against another team that's on a roll on the Vikings. So there's a good chance they end up 4-6 and kind of down here with the Jets. So as we go forward into this season, like what we're looking for is how are the Browns going to hold up with a rookie at quarterback? Are the Steelers going to be able to continue to win games even though they get dominated on both sides of the ball most times? Will the Bengals be able to bounce back without Joe Burrow? And will the Bills be able to beat good teams? Will they, because they got a tough schedule, right? Like I said, they play the Eagles this upcoming week. So, the Bills going to have to get through some games. Beating up on the Jets is one thing, but they've been beat up themselves a couple times by some good teams. So we'll have to see what happens there, see if the Raiders can bounce back, and we'll see if the Broncos can really go on a run. But, it seems right now, coming into this season, so many people talked about the AFC South and how weak it was. And even with Anthony Richardson not playing most of this season, the AFC South might end up with 3 teams in the playoffs. I could see an avenue where we end up with the Jaguars winning the division, the Texans ending up with a wild card, and us ending up with a wild card. And of course, anything can happen. It was just a couple weeks ago when the AFC North had all 4 teams in the playoffs. They had the Ravens leading the division, and all 3 of the other teams were sitting there in the wild card spots. And now we're at a point where the Bengals look like they're probably out of it altogether. The Steelers look like, their luck is starting to run out a little bit. And the Browns, you don't know what they're going to be. So the AFC North, again, anything can happen, man. AFC North quickly going downhill, whereas the AFC South is ticking up, right? These are teams that over the last few years have been put in positions where they need to rebuild. The Titans are in that position right now, and that's why they're the last in our division. They're one of the worst teams in the NFL this year at this point, sitting at 15th in the AFC. They're 3-7 record. But the other 3 teams have been trying to build for something. And nobody expects the Texans to be any good. But C.J. Stroud is balling out right now. And again, he's got them in position to win a lot of games. So it'll be interesting to see not only what happens in the division, right? I mean, the Texans and the Jaguars play each other in week 12. If the Texans are able to win that game, then they would be first in the AFC South, and that would be an interesting thing to have happen. But either way, again, we are right there in the mix. The team's going to start coming back together this week off of the bye week. So we're going to continue to have more content. We have more guys that we're going to talk about whether we should pay them, whether we shouldn't. And in the coming weeks, going to start looking into, free agency in the next season and who we might look at trying to get next offseason, kind of get some early reads on some things and see what we can cook up. So if you enjoy this video, make sure you hit that like button and get subscribed with notifications on so that you can get notified when all these videos do come out. We have content every single day on this channel, and this train don't stop even when the offseason gets here. So again, hit that subscribe button. I appreciate you stopping by for another video. And with that said, as always, take care of yourself, take care of each other, and go Colts.